We begin this story with a very important envelope being delivered to an officer so that he can transport it to a safe location. The officer leaves the embassy on his motorcycle and speeds through the city. Everything seems to be fine until a car appears out of nowhere and causes an accident. A few minutes later, the officer is in an ambulance being treated for his injuries. In the next scene, we meet Phoebus, the leader of a group of mercenaries. He gathers with his trusted men, Kwasi and Esmer, to tell them that they have a job to do. Their client wants them to eliminate 5 people, and they have a limited amount of time to do it. Therefore, each will be responsible for leading a team to guarantee the success of the mission. We move from scenes of accidents and weapons to one that is a bit more innocent. This is Serge, a government official who is currently arguing with his wife, Mia, about their daughter Alice, who refuses to obey and spends all day in her alternate world, neglecting her homework and getting into trouble at school. For Serge, Alice is an enigma, a teenager, and who knows what goes through the minds of teenagers these days with TikTok and the millennial culture. So he is at a loss and withdraws. Shortly thereafter, he receives a call from his doctor. At first, Serge thinks he might be sick, but Dr. Roma assures him that something stranger occurred. He had just treated an embassy officer involved in an accident whose belongings included an open envelope containing a sheet of paper with 5 names. The strange thing is that Serge's name appears among them, which is why the doctor called him. Finding it curious, Serge tells the doctor not to worry, perhaps it is a list of promotions, and he becomes excited at the thought that he might have won something. Meanwhile, Alice is in the garden when she hears a metallic noise coming from the shed. As she approaches, she sees the gardener sharpening his knives by hand, and then he removes his shirt, revealing hundreds of scars on his back. Completely impressed, Alice takes out her phone and starts recording. Suddenly, someone appears behind her and tells her that she shouldn't do that. It is Leo, the gardener. Alice doesn't know whether to be frightened and run or to ask him how he did it, but Leo is reserved and simply tells her to scram. Back inside, Roa has received a visit from our mercenaries, who have him captured and are threatening to kill him without revealing what they did with the list. Dr. Roma then hands over the envelope and confesses that he alerted Serge about his name. Silently, Phoebus orders that Serge be the first target. They cannot risk him asking for help or informing anyone. Quickly, 2 speedboats appear at Serge's villa, carrying dozens of men, all there to eliminate him. The maid and Alice are the first to be taken out of the equation with tranquilizer darts. Serge, who is taking a bath, hears his daughter scream and goes out to check. Upon confronting one of the mercenaries up close, he defends himself, but realizing there are too many, he flees toward the garden, only to be struck by a dart in the back. He barely manages to reach the front door before succumbing to the mercenaries. Someone drags Serge's body into the shed. Although they can't see who, it is clear he is not alone there. Slowly and precisely, the intruders enter the shed where they encounter Leo, who eliminates them one by one. The remaining men secure the house and take Serge's family, but Serge and the gardener have vanished. Phoebus orders his men to hold their positions and then head immediately toward the villa, convinced that Serge might have alerted the authorities and that they must resolve the situation before daylight. On the other hand, Serge is with Leo in an underground room that Leo had constructed without anyone noticing. There, Leo injects Serge with adrenaline so that he can wake up and explain what the heck is happening and why a group of mercenaries has come to his villa and kidnapped his family. Serge admits that he does not know why. The only event of the day had been the call from his doctor. He then checks his phone and reviews the list. Upon seeing the names for a few seconds, he realizes, without thinking, that all of them are candidates to replace the current state minister. So this is surely a mission to kill them. Serge tells Leo that there were 5 names on the list, and his was the last one, meaning others might be in danger and that they must alert the authorities. After gathering everything they could use as a weapon from Leo's shed, they exit through a secret door that Leo had carved on the other side of the garden. The first enemy to fall is one that Leo catches stepping on his roses. Although he might be an extraordinary fighter, he is still merely a gardener, and by using a wire they manage to eliminate another. A few minutes later, Esmer notices that one of the boats has been stolen and quickly drives away, convinced that Serge has escaped. He relays the bad news to Phoebus, who sends most of his men in pursuit. Fortunately for Serge, the distraction that Leo created has worked. Some of the mercenaries remain at the villa and have managed to enter the house, where they find Serge's baby hidden in a small window, peacefully asleep. However, while Serge is doing his best to retrieve the baby, two mercenaries approach him and point their weapons at him. At that moment, Leo appears and attacks them from behind. Esmer, trying to contact his men, grows impatient when he hears nothing and begins to search the house with his weapon in hand. Shortly after, he reaches the baby's room, where a fight is underway. He intervenes to help Serge, but the baby does its part by vomiting on his face. They quickly escape, and Leo leads them to the pantry, though Serge tells him that this is a terrible idea and that they will surely be killed. But Leo has his secrets. He reveals a hidden tunnel, guiding them out through a safe exit that the mercenaries know nothing about. Serge is curious. How does Leo know about these secret tunnels, and why does he know the house so well if he had never been inside? It is at this point that Leo confesses that he grew up in that very house. His father lost it a few years ago when the bank assigned it to Serge so that he could move in with his family. Meanwhile, the team that went after the stolen boat returns empty-handed. The man driving it was dead and tied to the accelerator. Whoever did it is still in the house. Esmer, who managed to survive a knife wound to his back, returns to report about the gardener with formidable fighting skills whom he had confronted. Phoebus orders a complete search of the house while our protagonists hide underground. Night falls and Mia and Alice have awakened. Esmer extracts some information about their supposed gardener by using his name. He finds a complete file revealing that he is not an ordinary man, let alone a licensed gardener. He is a former Special Forces operative who returned home after years of torture. One of the men then appears and informs him that they found a secret tunnel in the pantry. Quasi takes a couple of men and enters the tunnel. While they are inspecting the area, the movement of some cans alerts Leo that someone is approaching. So he turns off all the lights and tells Serge to hide with the baby while he deals with the intruders. During the ensuing confrontation, Quasi gains the upper hand, prompting Serge to try to help our hero. But he mistakenly shoots Leo with a dart before the tranquilizer takes effect. Using the last of his strength, Leo stabs Quasi in the abdomen, and then Serge carries him back to the refuge so that he can recover his strength. There, Leo injects himself with a syringe of adrenaline to counteract the tranquilizer. Quasi manages to exit the tunnel and warns his comrades that this man is no ordinary gardener. He killed all his men and only managed to escape by a miracle into the forest. Leo ends up with Serge and the baby. Driven by curiosity, Serge asks him about his past and who he really is. Leo confesses that his father was a notoriously cruel Nazi general, who in a fit of rage killed his mother. Fleeing the scene, he joined the rival army, dedicating himself to mastering combat no matter what might happen to him. He had sworn never again to be a victim. When his father died, all his past suffering seemed in vain, as he never had the opportunity to prove himself as someone strong and unwilling to endure abuse. This moment of reflection is interrupted by Phoebus, but Leo keeps Serge calm until a stolen radio suddenly sounds. Phoebus then threatens, over the radio, to kill Serge's family in 15 minutes, and he doesn't seem to be joking. Phoebus executes the cleaning lady, someone who had been very kind to Leo, and this act does not sit well with him. While Leo contemplates his next move, Phoebus continues to harass him over the radio, reminding him that he has Leo's file and knows what happened to his mother, mocking that he won't be able to save his family either. He demands that Leo hand over Serge, promising a handsome compensation in return. Leo takes the baby and searches for a place to hide her, but at that moment he is caught off guard by Esmer and the fight resumes. With the baby present, there isn't much Leo can do to defend himself, and he soon finds himself in a difficult situation until Serge appears from behind. Together, they take down the mercenary, though Esmer is killed in the process. With few men left at his disposal, Phoebus seizes the moment to strike back and rescue the family in a one-on-one combat, where Phoebus and Leo exchange heavy blows. The fight drags on, and we even see some of those moves that made the protagonist famous. Just as Leo is about to defeat Phoebus, Phoebus pulls a pistol from his pocket and points it at Leo. He has decided that his life is worth more than honor, so he will kill them all and then go claim his fee. Just before he can kill Leo, Quasi shoots his boss, ending the threat and allowing Leo to survive. When Leo asks Quasi why he did it, Quasi replies that perhaps Leo doesn't remember him, but that Leo trained him over 15 years ago. The skills and techniques he learned saved his life, and he always swore that one day he would return the favor. It was in that tunnel that he realized whom he was fighting, his former master from the army. With the arrival of the sun, Serge and his family are safe. As a token of gratitude, Serge gifts Leo the house so that he can live there. If he can bear all the horrors, of course. Leo says his farewell and returns inside, but suddenly he notices that Phoebus's body is missing. He then takes a motorcycle and hurries to save the family. Phoebus is chasing the family, but fortunately, by cutting a path through the forest, Leo manages to arrive in time so that the family can continue their journey. What did you expect? It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. You couldn't leave without witnessing his signature move.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.